Yo everybody, what's going on? This is Keegan from K-Man Reviews. If you enjoyed this review, be sure you hit that like and the subscribe button, and if you have any opinions at all that you would like to share, leave them down in the comment section. Moonlight Haze, Lunaris. Moonlight Haze are an Italian power symphonic metal band founded fairly recently in 2018. Fronted by vocalist Chiara Tricarico, terribly sorry if I'm butchering that pronunciation. This is the group's sophomore release following up 2019's De Rerum Natura. First exposure to this band thanks to a viewer suggestion. Thank you so much for requesting. I'm always excited to cover these European metal acts. They seem to bring out some of the best music I've heard this year. Will that streak continue with this album? Let's find out as I review it track by track. We'll start with the singles, with there being 3 of them, the first one being The Rabbit of the Moon, which opens up in a very traditional Eastern styling. Then the full instrumental kicks in, which really leans on the symphonic side. Gorgeous strings, dense drums, then Chiara's voice kicks in. Don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful voice that will really be unleashed later on the record, but here, it's just mixed so far in the back, especially when the chorus kicks around, you can barely make out what she's saying. But even besides that, the lyrical structure of the track is clunky. It just sounds so cumbersome as she tries to paint this tale of this rabbit sacrificing himself to keep this other animal family alive, but the rabbit is actually just a wise old man. I'm aware they're a foreign act, it's probably some sort of translation error, sounds more poetic in their native tongue, but I have covered other foreign bands singing in English before doing it much better, so I don't know. This just doesn't work for me. Pass. The second single and the album opener, Till the End, on the first notes, is already a much better song. Significantly faster in tempo, more lively and frantic percussion, the retro keys, the captivating guitar riff. Chiara's vocals as well are much better. Not only are they more at the front of the mix, but she truly sounds like she's fitting the tone of the track. Her vocals on the chorus get into this angrier style, which only reminds me of a bratty 13-year-old singing, a trait that reminds me of older Paramore in all the best ways. It's really a stylistic 180 in comparison to the delicate, dainty feeling of the previous track, and I adore it in basically every aspect. Great song. And the third and final single, Enigma, opens up with these spacey, fluttering keys, and continues in a pretty powerful way. By that I mean the drums are exemplary on the verses, but the chorus is also done very well. It slows down a bit, presenting an operatic garnish to the symphonic metal styling, really showing itself in Chiara's vocals. The guitar solo is pretty sweet as well, and lyrically, well, it's not in English. Thankfully, there is a translated version of this exact track serving as the album closer, which is helpful. So it's basically about this unknown feeling burrowing inside, which is negative, blurring the lines of good and evil. Pretty good track as well. Let's see how the rest of the album compares. Now for the rest of the tracks. The title song Lunaris opens up with this calm acoustic guitar strumming, which immediately transforms into a proper metal instrumental with a particularly enjoyable bass line. The chorus packs a nice punch even if Chiara's vocals are slightly drowned out, but not enough to where it's bothersome. Speaking of her vocals, she really amps it up on later moments of the tune, getting into a grittier yell, but also flexing her choir-like moments. Lyrically, it's about spiritual connection, being in touch with yourself, and realizing what it's like to be alive. Pretty good song as well, worth a listen. Under Your Spell opens very similarly to the previous track, but instead of a thrasher, it's a lot more of a grand ballad moment with the guitar being held back pretty significantly, except for near the end when the solo mimics the vocal melody. The drums keep the track on the straight and narrow, having a nice rhythm, and Chiara's vocals are gorgeous here. She transitions into every end of her vocal range, from the soprano side to the tougher, more metal areas. It's just such a satisfying listen all around, and lyrically it's about how she's caught under this spell, and how she doesn't act like her original self anymore. Great tune, give this one a listen to. Wish Upon a Scar is probably the most hardcore metal track on this record, mainly in its instrumentation. The guitar riff is sporadic, fast, furious, and the drum work keeps up exceptionally well. The keyboard is a nice touch, really coming into play when the louder nature of the opening and chorus is calmed down. Speaking of chorus, it's also well performed. Chiara tends to stick to her yelling a little bit more all throughout the track, except for the final chorus, which is a slight bit awkward when she sings soprano. Always gotta give props to a spectacular guitar solo, and yet again the album delivers on this track. Pretty good song here as well. The Dangerous Art of Overthinking is very gripping on the first few seconds of the tune, with a deep, sweeping choir vocal passage sounding like the introduction to a final boss, and then the strings and drums kick in, only solidifying that feeling. Everything about this track is so grand, heavenly in a way. Kiara goes the heaviest she can on this album, releasing fun metal growls, like some metalcore stuff, along with sticking to the rest of her vocals. It's an absolutely beautiful song, even at the 6 minutes and 44 seconds it is. Tempos are switched, tones change. It's a dynamic song about losing control after overthinking gets the better of you. Gorgeous song, it's almost like some crazy metal odyssey. Please give this a listen. Without You is another track that features very orchestral elements, fantastic strings, sweeping synthesizers, but aside from that, it may just be one of the most purely metal tracks on the record. The drumming is aggressive, the guitars are crunchy, and when combined with Kiara's highest vocal range so far, it's a stylistic clash that works way better than it sounds. This truly sounds like the apex the band is trying to reach. Everything here is done beautifully. There's so much to enjoy in its compact runtime. Love the song. Of Birth and Death changes things up fairly drastically, sounding a little bit more like an Irish or Scottish jig. It's easily the least rock track on the record, but it's not really a ballad either, led by the peppy guitar strumming, violin work, and acoustic percussion. Kiara's vocals sound much more angelic here, almost bordering on Disney princess musical style a la Tangled. It is a big change from everything else on the record, and honestly, I'm not sure it really works. It's such a glaring differentiation, and it kind of stands out in the worst way in the context of the full album. It doesn't do anything for me. I'll skip this one. Nameless City is a 7-minute 34-second epic that basically serves as the true closer for the record, and for the most part, it's pretty solid. The chugging riff sounds nice alongside the driving percussion. Kiara sticks to her higher range for a good majority of the tune. When she gets to her soprano singing, it really turns into some more boss music, which I love. What holds this back from me truly loving it, though, is its pacing. I'm not sure if the instrumental is slightly too fast, or Kiara's vocals should ramp to complement it, but regardless of that, I think the track could have done without the final chorus anyway, which starts at around the 5-minute 30-second mark. The celestial fade-out would have made a genuinely good final note to this record, so the track is good, but it could have been trimmed. And finally, the actual closer, a translated to English version of Enigma, is kind of a head-scratching addition to this track list. The original Enigma is the only track on this record that isn't in English, but this is still here anyway. Why this version didn't replace the original Enigma is baffling to me. What would have been a lot cooler is if the original Enigma was titled the Italian version. That would have added a new flair, but calling a translated track the English version when the entire rest of your album is already in English makes zero sense. Regardless, it's just the exact same song structurally as the original, nothing's changed there, it's still a good song. Overall, there's a lot here for people to enjoy. Tight riffs, a powerful vocalist on many fronts, strong captivating melodies, catchy hooks. I say there are a couple of mixing issues or sonic deviations that prevent this from joining the elite of the metal I've been privy to this year, but I still walked away from this record with a pleased smile on my face. I'm feeling an 8 out of 10 on this album. Well guys, hope you enjoyed that review. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.